More moves are coming for the Pittsburgh Penguins as we get a surprising update from GM Kyle Dubas on what he's planning to do as soon as free agency opens. We also have another update as it pertains to the Pittsburgh Penguins RFAs. And of course, a very surprising update on Evgeni Malkin's future in Pittsburgh. We're going to break that all down in this episode of Penguins Digest. But before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 68% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with the Pittsburgh Penguins, go down below, hit that free subscribe button because this is the place to be for all your daily Pittsburgh Penguins content. But let's get right into it. First order of business, there's been a new hire. And I don't think a lot of people saw this one coming, but it makes a ton of sense. Mike Struthers has been hired as another assistant coach for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So makes a ton of sense. We knew that there was, one, opening on the Pittsburgh Penguins coaching staff. And this is another guy that by all accounts is going to be able to work with the younger players on the team. He has been named the last assistant coach on Dan Muse's coaching staff, and he will presumably work with the defense and penalty kill. And that was kind of the missing piece. We know that there's, a couple other assistant coaches hired to work with the power play. And of course, Todd Nelson being here now, obviously has some experience in the AHL and coaching younger players. And he is another development coach for the Penguins who coached with the Ducks as an assistant and spent most of his years in the AHL and the CHL as well. So this is great for the kids who will be coming up through the system. And of course, the Penguins are going to have a lot of young players in the system on the team heading into the next couple of years. So it makes a ton of sense to hire a guy like this. Now, to the next order of business. Kyle Dubas spoke to the media today about the plan moving forward because, of course, free agency opens tomorrow. There's a ton of RFAs on the Penguins that need to be signed as well. And he gave us some clarity and some insight into his plan moving forward. And Kyle Dubas on the Penguins' approach in free agency. I would be surprised, unless they were RFAs or trades, that we would do long-range deals with players. So it doesn't sound like they're going to be signing anyone to any big deals, long-term deals, lucrative contracts, any of that. But we've got a number of players in mind that I think we can give opportunity to. And that's another thing. The Penguins can be looked upon as a team for an opportunity for a lot of players in free agency this year, which is a good thing. They're going to come in hungry. They want to make good impressions and get contracts either somewhere else, maybe get traded at the deadline, stuff like that. The Penguins have an opportunity to be that team this year, which is not bad, whilst still trying to remain competitive. But a lot of that does fall on the shoulders of Tristan Jarry as well. We have to keep that in mind. Now, we do have an update on the pending RFAs, which is a huge question mark right now because almost none of them have been qualified. None of them have been re-signed, but we get an update because there's two names in particular that I was very confused about. We get some insight into them here. And he went on to say we have a number of guys and we have a few guys that we are still in conversation with. We're still having conversations with Tomasino and Dewar, and those were the two to me. You want to re-sign Phil Tomasino. You want to get that done. I don't think they're in offer sheet territory. I don't think, the Penguins are in deep trouble there with these guys accepting offer sheets. And even if they did, it's not that huge of a loss. You would get some type of compensation back, but I don't see them being offer sheeted. So hopefully it gets done pretty timely. Tomasino is a big part of the team. Obviously, I thought he was great since coming over in that trade from Nashville. And Connor Dewar, does definitely play a role for this team since coming over from the Toronto Maple Leafs. And he said the rest will non-qualify. Will qualify Ponomarov, who of course just left for Russia as well. And he's been assigned to Russia. But if they do qualify him, this is the interesting thing, they do actually retain his rights. So if he does come back to North America, the Penguins would retain his rights. He wouldn't be a free agent. And then obviously he can slot right back into either the AHL or the NHL when he comes back. So that is an if. Of course, he is going back to Russia, but they did say they're going to qualify him to keep his rights. So I thought that was very interesting. And but he'll have the 3 years or however long to develop there in Russia. We'll just keep a close watch on him, but obviously it's nothing in the immediate or anything like that. And to further this from Kelsey, Kyle Dubas said that, obviously they're still in conversation and prioritizing Philip Tomasino and Connor Dewar. They won't extend qualifying offers to anybody else. And of course, Ponomarov has signed in the KHL and they will retain his rights, just to wrap that up. Now, next order of business, and this one is a very interesting update. This is on Evgeni Malkin. There's been a lot of rumors and reports flying around about Evgeni Malkin and his future as a Pittsburgh Penguin and his future in the league. There was a report saying that the Pittsburgh Penguins, this was just last week, that the Pittsburgh Penguins are not going to re-sign Evgeni Malkin. This would be his last season as a Pittsburgh Penguin. That was the report, and that he might retire at the end of the year, maybe not from professional hockey, but from the NHL, which I thought was interesting. And Kyle Dubas cleared the air a little bit on where things stand with Evgeni Malkin today. And he said, I talked to Malkin at the end of the year in the exit meeting and followed up with him. And I get it. He's in the last year of his contract, and it's been a topic of discussion. But with the way we're going to approach, we're going to go into the year, as I told him in this exit meeting, and then obviously his agent, we'll meet at the Olympic break this upcoming season, which a lot of people tend to forget that there's actually an Olympic break coming this season as well. And he said that he's going to be, and that they will meet at the end of the season as well. He also said that he's going to be 39 at the end of July, and he's still playing at a very high level for a player that age. And he had a down season, but he's still putting up points and all that. Has dealt with some injury issues as well the last couple of years. And he obviously means a great deal to the community, to the team, and all that. We know what he means to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Dubas then goes on to say, our major focus is on treating him right, pushing him to continue to be his best this year, and do right by him by continuing to communicate with him on where he stands and handle it the right way as an organization. So to me, if you're reading between the lines, it kind of sounds like we might be open to trading Evgeni Malkin if he's open to a trade at next year's trade deadline. That's what it kind of sounds like to me. We're going to do right by him. If he wants to stay, he's going to stay. We're going to encourage him to play well still, to play at a high level for this team. But if he wants to go on and win a Stanley Cup, we'll gladly take assets for him. And again, they're going to meet, but by all accounts, it doesn't sound like they're going to re-sign him. He's 39. He's still playing at, a pretty high level. Had a bit of a down year, that's for sure. But I'm interested to see if he can, somehow bounce back in some type of way. But at the end of the day, when you're reading between the lines of this update, it sounds to me like this will be the last season for Malkin. And I think it will really come down to if he wants to try and win a Stanley Cup at the trade deadline and waive, anything that would restrict them from trading him, or if he wants to stay, they'll keep him on the team, ride it out. But I don't think a contract extension is imminent for Evgeni Malkin. So let me know in the comments how you feel about that, because that would truly, truly be the end of an era. Marc-Andre Fleury was the end of, a certain era as well. This would truly be the end of an era if Malkin were to be, moved off of, or if they moved on from Evgeni Malkin at the end of the season. So things are going to get very interesting. Last thing I wanted to touch on is, of course, another update on Ben Kindle, and some people, bringing up some highlights and stuff like that. If you take a look at the highlights, yes, he's small. We've been talking about that, right? He's not the biggest guy. He can move around the ice. He can put the puck in the back of the net. He can make some plays. Very high scoring player in the WHL this year. I feel like he's going to be a great skilled player with a pretty underrated two-way game that really hasn't been mentioned too much over the last couple of days. He has very high upside. So I think Penguins fans should absolutely be excited about him. Still a couple years away, that's for sure, but I feel like he is going to be a difference maker at the NHL level. The hardest thing to do in the NHL is score goals. That's exactly what he can do. So if it does translate to the NHL level, he's going to be a great player, and definitely a top 6 player, that's for sure, because some of the other draft picks, not necessarily top 6 potential, but more insulating players. And I talked about that at nauseum. Mark and I talked about it at nauseum in another video, so go check that one out. But that'll do it for this one. Let me know how you feel about them looking to re-sign Connor Dewar, Phil Tomasino. Nobody else is getting qualifying offers, which I think was interesting. And of course, they're looking to make some interesting deals, not necessarily long-term or lucrative deals. They're keeping it all short-term and keeping the plan together the next couple of years through free agency, which I think was interesting. Let me know how you feel about Evgeni Malkin and, of course, Ben Kindle and some of the other draft picks. I feel like there is reason to be very optimistic and happy about some of the draft picks. Let me know how you feel. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything Pittsburgh Penguins.